Torpedoes, dead ahead.
Hey guys, what's up? Today I am bringing you a replay sent to me by Cruisnik01 Kane. I probably just butchered that name, but for the purposes of this replay I'm just going to call you Kane. And he is playing in Udaloi. Now, the Russian destroyers aren't a line I have gone down too far. I'm at the Nevny at the moment. I probably butchered that too. It's basically the researchable version of the Gremyachki. And I haven't gotten too far, but I learned quite a few things from this replay as to how these should be played and how to get more damage out of what rounds you're using in the battle. Because when I first started out, I figured spam high explosive because they have a high fire chance, because I saw a lot of high tier destroyers doing that. Well, Kane here is going to prove me wrong. And to start out, we're on New Dawn, so he's covering the middle just in case any destroyer's dumb enough to try to blitz down it within the first minute or two. I'm still not sure what I think about Russian destroyers. I don't think I like them as much as I do Japanese destroyers, but I think they have a way better gun arc than the American destroyers, and I like that a lot. They just don't have the turret rotation at the low tiers that American destroyers do, which kind of off-puts me because I really like turning, but who knows, I'll get used to them. Alright, nobody coming up the middle, so we're gonna head to the west side of the map and see what's up over there. Now he's already got AP loaded. Pretty sure that's just in case we find a random broadside cruiser, but we shall see what appears on that side. It looks like a lot of the enemies have gone to the east side, where a lot of our teammates have also gone. So that should be a decent fight over there. Looks like there's still a cruiser covering the middle, and they have a cruiser on their side that looks like it's covering the middle. These things are basically just small cruisers in themselves. They're fast gunboats most of the time. Your torpedoes aren't used a lot, and as you'll see Kane do in this battle, they aren't used at all. They have very short range. They're very fast, don't get me wrong, but they have extremely short range compared to everything else. They're almost like the old American torpedoes. But it looks like there's a Pensacola over there. Ooh, he's got friends. There's a York. Can't really see what's behind that Pensacola. He's detected by something, not quite sure what. Broadside Pensacola. Time to feed it the AP. A little bit of damage there. Nothing. Ah, come on. Looks like the York's gonna take some pot shots at him. Oh, there goes his engine. Repairs that immediately. If you look on the map, it looks like there's Natago blitzing the middle, which, interesting move right at the start of the match. Now he's gonna keep pestering this Pensacola. Since it's angled away, he switched to HE to make sure his rounds don't just bounce off the side harmlessly. And he does a little bit of annoying damage to it, but then he notices that that York that's been pestering him is completely stationary and just outside of detectability range when he fires his guns. So, time to feed him the bullet since he's broadside. And he starts scoring some really good damage before this guy gets moving. There's about 4,000 in those 2 rounds. There's a citadel. This poor York. He doesn't quite know what's hitting him. Now he's starting to run away. Just keeps feeding the shells right to him. And if you notice, he's done a lot more damage than that York did to him. But they still have that Otago back in cap, even though that thing's about to die. Because, well, a lot of the fleet's still over there. I'm not quite sure what that Otago was thinking was going to happen. Then again, that is a premium ship that you can buy any time of the year, so you never know who's playing it. Now, he was detected by that Otago and still is. No, there he goes. Otago's dead. He's undetected. Back to pestering this side. Huh, he's detected again. Interesting. Must be a destroyer out front or something. But now there's an Izumo over there that's in front of both the cruisers. So maybe he can get some sneaky shots on him using the smokescreen set by the other destroyer as cover. And if you notice what the York's done, he's just done a big circle and has gone right back to that island he was sitting behind. Will he go stationary again? I guess we'll find out. And based on his speed, I'm gonna guess that's a yes. So I'm not quite sure what he's thinking, but it looks a lot like a World of Tanks mentality where you sit behind a hill and peek out and shoot stuff. Because as if you notice, he's now trying to back up behind the island to use it as cover. Now he's just dumping shots into this York. 2,000. Another 2,000. Not bad rolls. Hatsuharu out in front, that's what's been spotting him the whole time. Take some pot shots while it disappears. One of them hit. It's worth.
Torpedoes to start.
Starts dumping shots into the Izumo. And if you notice, he's never staying the same speed, which, unlucky for him, left him right in the path of these torpedoes, and he ends up eating one. Didn't hurt him too bad, took off half his health, but nothing's really been shooting at him the whole match, so dealing some pain to this Izumo. He's kind of gotten annoyed and started moving away. That York popped back out. Is he just trying to go back around to his camping spot? Well, guess we'll see. Start hitting him with some shots. First shot out. Since he's still broadside to the enemy team. First one was AP, sets him on fire. Or HE. AP Citadel 1. 2. Will he get a third? Not there. Maybe there? Nope. Doing some wicked damage to this guy. Really punishing him for sailing broadside to a Russian destroyer. Switches back to HE as the York angles away. Come on, you can sink him. He's got such low health. Just gotta hit him decently before something else can. Izumo's coming back. York's almost out of range. Looks like he's out. He's firing at something behind us. Not quite sure what. Might have just been trying to shoot at the location that Kane is stealth firing from. So it looks like it's time to move up and see what else we can shoot at. That York is still taking a beating from something. And he's on fire again. I'm not quite sure if he'll survive that. Tashkent ahead of us eats a torp. Not great turning radius on these things, so I'm sure he just ate a torp because, well, he couldn't turn away from it in time. Not quite sure if he could have outran it, but Izumo's back in range. Time to take some shots at him. Hatsuharu, not the one detecting him because he's behind the Izumo. Probably just the Izumo detecting him. Sets him on fire, loads the AP, and just starts pounding the crap out of him. And if you'll notice, he's laying the AP to anything broadside and to anything with weak deck armor. I almost said a Magi. The Izumo's a battle cruiser, so it doesn't have much for deck armor. probably unless you're against a frontal-facing North Carolina, you're not going to really see the effects of the deck armor on a lot of the American ships. But on the Japanese ones, you can really tell which ones are battle cruisers and which ones are battleships just by how many of your shots bounce off their decks. Now, he laid some pain to that Izumo. Looks like most of his team that was either in the base or with him has moved to start capping the enemy base. Some of the enemy has stayed down by Kane's cap, and some are coming back to try to relieve their cap of the pressure on it. Looks like they're just pouring fire into the Izumo. Hopefully he gets sunk pretty soon, or else that Pensacola in the cap is not going to have a good day.
Engine boost deactivated.
Hatsuharu's in range. Not taking any shots at him yet, though. What else can we hit? Throw some more shots at the Izumo. He's still burning. Not sure if it's the same fire, but any damage is good damage to a battleship when you don't have a friendly battleship to help you out. And that Hatsuharu is just done for. He's got no engines. He's right in front of a cruiser, and there he goes. Izumo's turned out. He's pretty low. Arp Miyoko has shown up to try to relieve the cap. And there's an Amagi coming right behind him. So Kane starts dumping shots into the Arp Miyoko while it's broadside. And he does some pretty decent damage to him before he even thinks about turning. Another 2,000 damage. These things are fairly accurate, and their AP is pretty good. Oh, he's detected, probably by that Miyoko. Still dealing wicked damage to him. He's taken off a lot of its health before it can get behind that island. And there's the Amagi. Another battle cruiser with weak deck armor. So he's going to start pumping the shells into him while he's broadside on. Which probably if I was in the Amagi I'd be broadside too, because there's no battleship to fear over here. But you also have to remember that there's destroyers, and destroyers have torpedoes. Now that Arp Miyoko hasn't been sunk yet, he just came around the side of the island and spotted him. Must be another destroyer popped smoke and covered it up. But he's firing the HE right to this Amagi as it beaches itself on the island. You know, I thought the Amagi had a good turn rate. Maybe I'm wrong, but usually it avoids islands pretty well. And since it's stuck broadside, he switches back to AP and just sends it right to her. He just keeps pouring the shots in while this Amagi's sunk. You can see a destroyer's popped up heading back for the base. But he's not an immediate threat yet, so he keeps dealing damage to this Amagi while it's, well, basically stuck there. It can't really do anything about it because it can't spot him. And he's just beating it into the decks of this thing. A little bit of bouncing off the turrets because they have pretty good armor, but anytime he gets a good hit on the deck, like right there, he gets a really good damage roll. Now that destroyer's about to come around the corner, and there is a, looks like a cruiser following him. Still pumping shots into that Amagi. Now he's spotted by that destroyer. Oh, it's a Błyskawica, the tier 7 Polish destroyer. One round of AP, switches back to HE, and just starts demolishing this guy. Now the Bliska has good torps, and you have to remember that when you're fighting it. And he starts pumping it into it. Bliska fired at torps at something else. And there's a Miyoko right behind it. So, not a good thing. Those 203s at close range can do a lot of damage. But he's oh, he killed a different destroyer. 2 citadels into him while he's broadside. There's the Confederate award for him. More shots just pouring into this Miyoko. Is he gonna get the kill? He definitely deserves it, but at the last second, Cruiser kills it off. Pretty good because it saved him a little bit of damage from any guns that Miyoko still had up. And looking back at the Amagi, it's still stuck on that island. Seems like he forgot how to turn or something. I don't know. But he's just stuck there. He seems to like that island. Maybe he wanted a vacation from this battle, who knows. There's just him and a destroyer left on their team. The destroyer's trying to cap Kane's base. And doesn't look like they'll have too much problems cleaning up an Amagi. They'll probably just sink him right next to that island and let his sailors go on the vacation they obviously really want. Pouring the shots right to him. He's angled slightly, so he switched back to the HE so that he doesn't have to worry about bouncing most of his shots. Then again, he's mostly hitting the belt armor at this range, so none of them are really doing any damage. There's a little bit. Switched back to AP because, I don't know. It's dealing more damage at this point. Those battleships back in the friendly cap are still hunting for that destroyer. Shouldn't be too long before they sink him. And there goes the Amagi.
Enemy battleship foundered.
And it looks like they'll either cap this one out or sink that enemy destroyer for the victory. Which one's gonna be? Pretty close to capping, but there's the enemy destroyer. It's a very low health Fletcher. Should be one shot from the Amagi. And there it goes. Very nice battle. Just goes to show how powerful the AP is from these little destroyers, and that cruisers shouldn't take it lightly that a destroyer's firing AP at them and just go broadside to it to get all their guns on it. And it just shows the power of switching between ammo types when something's broadside to you or when something's facing away, just to maximize your damage output. But since I've never played these high tier Russian destroyers, I almost said Japanese there, I'm sorry about that. High tier Russian destroyers, I wasn't quite sure how to play them. I thought build them for their fire chance because they have extremely high fire chance for destroyers. But Cruz here, I keep saying Cruz, god damn it. Kane here in his Udaloi just goes to show that the AP is where it's at on the Russian destroyers, and you can just demolish teams with it. But going into his first results screen, he actually shot down one plane that match, that poor spotter plane somewhere in there. He got 363 hits on enemy warships, which is pretty damn good for that. 3 incapacitations, probably on enemy destroyers like that Bliskovica and the Hatsuharu. 2 ships destroyed, 4 fires, and 5 citadel hits. Just going to show that, yeah, the AP is stupidly powerful on these if you use it correctly, and the fire chance is still good for following it up if they're angled away from you. And he definitely deserved that Confederate award that he earned, and the 300,000 credits that he earned from just dealing that massive amount of damage with all the shells that he fired. Going into the team list, it just goes to show that when you choose the right ammo for the right situation, you can score pretty high. He got almost 2,000 base experience. He was top of the team, and most of his team did really well. A lot of them got over 1,000 base experience. I'm not quite sure how that Colorado managed to do 0. Maybe he was AFK for the whole match, but whatever. Kane still carried really hard and brought his team the victory in his own special way. Enemy team did pretty well, at least the top 3 did, earning over 1,000 for a loss. And props to them for trying to defend their base and still trying to squeak out the win by capping the enemy base. So very good game on both teams' parts. And finally, the damage reports of that battle. He did over 100,000 AP damage, which is basically battleship levels, with this little tiny destroyer. I guess that goes to show when anything's broadside to you and you're firing the right type of ammo, you will just decimate the standards of what does so much damage with a certain shell type. Like, usually you think cruisers are going to do a lot of damage with AP, or not cruisers, battleships will do a lot of damage with the AP and score these big damage rolls and get such high damage, and cruisers will be the primary HE spammers, and destroyers will be only about the torpedoes. But this just goes to show that you can upset that if you play right. And 110,000 AP damage, 13,000 HE damage, and 16,000 in fire set leaves for a very good match. And I'd like to thank Kane for sending this to me, because it was very enjoyable to watch and it taught me a lot about how to play these destroyers. And I'd like to thank everybody who sent me replays when I asked for them, because I was really busy that week that I needed some replays to look at. They were all very enjoyable to watch, and this one just stood out above the rest. I'm sorry that I didn't pick some of the ones that got brought up, and they'll probably get erased due to the patch that's coming up, but they were all very entertaining to watch. And feel free to send more, because I like watching them and I like posting them. So I hope y'all enjoyed this, and I will see you next time.